Good morning. Good morning. It has been way too long since I've done a live, so I am really happy and excited to be here today. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are going to be talking about only speaking what you want into your life. Now, this one is a really challenging one, but I'm excited to be talking about this one today. I am your host, Georgia Davis. I am coming to you live from scenic northern Utah, where we just had our first hard frost last night. So it is pretty chilly outside. If you are joining me live, please drop your whatever your weather is where you are. So if it's cold, you can drop cold. If it's summer, you can drop summer. Whatever it is for you, go ahead and drop that in the comments. I'd love to hear what kind of weather you are experiencing right now. And we are going to go ahead and get into it. It has been, I believe, a month from today since I did my last scheduled live. I had a live, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago, where I just popped on for a few minutes, said hello, and then took off again. But I have really missed this. It really also helps hold me accountable to my own goals and what I'm trying to put out there for myself as well. So I am looking forward to getting these right back on track again. Tuesday mornings, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So only speak what you want into your life. This one's going to be a little bit more freestyle. I don't have as many notes written down for today's episode as I do previous ones, so I'm going to kind of be winging it just a little bit. But one of the things that I really want to emphasize is how you're talking and how you're speaking. And we've talked before about how you talk to yourself, and that the internal dialogue in your mind really does change and influence your everyday life. And so we're going to talk about that just a little bit, because what you're saying to yourself and what you're saying out loud really is going to either positively or negatively affect you in your life and where you're going, and whether or not you're going to reach your goals or the direction that you want to have in your life. So it's really, really important to think about words, and this is kind of ironic that I'm talking about this in October, middle of October, about a week, so let's see, today's the 21st, 10 days away from Halloween. Because if you think about words as spells, everything you say is going to create or build something for you in your life. In the very beginning of time, if we go to the Bible says that God spoke everything into existence. That's obviously not a quote, but God spoke, and whatever it was created or came into existence. And that really is true for us as well. What we speak, what we think about, the words that we tell ourselves, the things that we tell ourselves come into play. If you also think about a recipe, a recipe is a pattern or something for you to follow to create something. And when we think about recipes, we're usually thinking about cooking or making a delicious meal. Also a pattern. If you get a pattern, when I think about patterns, I think about sewing and laying out a very thin piece of paper onto some cloth, and then pinning it down and cutting it out, and then sewing the pieces together based on the pattern and the instructions to be able to make something. And so, if you think about your words in those ways in respect to, words create things and words have power, and what are we saying, then I think this will kind of help you to be able to see that whatever you're saying is going to create something in your life. What we think about, we bring about. And so here's kind of the challenge of that, right? Because we have all of these different emotions and feelings, and controlling our energy can seem like one of the most difficult things that we face and that we experience, but really controlling our emotions is way easier than what it seems like. And the reason that I'm addressing this is that, if you wake up and you're in a bad mood, a lot of times we just let that bad mood take over and take control of where we're going and what we're doing in our life. And then we propel ourselves, we emit this energy that's negative, and that is then start to create something for our lives. So if I'm in a bad mood today and I'm just really grumpy, oh, nothing's working out, nothing that I want is happening in my life, I'm emitting that energy out there. So now the universe says, okay, nothing works out, nothing you want is coming into your life. And now the universe has to respond. It has to give you what you're asking for. And so if you're thinking about that and you're thinking something like nothing I want comes into existence, nothing I want comes into my life, it may not happen today, but down the road, tomorrow, next week, next month, you're going to get that response. You're going to have the universe respond and say, okay, and then create scenarios where you are not getting what you want. This is true for everyone, all the time, everywhere. It doesn't matter who you are. If you are focused on lack, you will continue to receive lack. If you are focused on unhappiness, you will continue to receive unhappiness. If you are focused on your goals and where you want to go, then you will achieve those goals and you will go where you want to go, no matter what your obstacles or difficulties are. And this is something that is powerful all the time. It works everywhere. It works 24/7. And this is why when you really get into manifesting and you really get into how people are so successful, they're successful because they refuse to allow themselves to drop below, and I don't know if that's the right term or not, but they refuse to allow themselves to drop into a state of mind where they don't see the possibilities of where they want to go. Now, let me be clear that this does not mean that everybody that is successful is happy. It just means that they have achieved something that they refused to allow themselves to not have. And it can be challenging getting from that lack of mindset, which is something that still creeps in a lot for me. And I have to learn how to overcome it. I have to work on it every time it comes up. It requires effort every time it comes up. And as I continue to focus on where I want to go and the things that I want in my life, these doors continue to open up. And sometimes it's scary to walk through the door. Sometimes it's scary to be like, okay, I'm going in that direction. And it doesn't matter what boulder I have to climb over the top of. It doesn't matter what lake I have to swim through. That's where I'm going. I'm getting to that peak. I'm going to make the summit. And nothing is going to stop me. Not hunger, not lack, not distractions or obstacles. I am going there because I am hungry. I'm going there because that is something that I want, and that I'm not going to allow myself to stop until I get there. It doesn't matter how long it takes for you to get there, but it's that drive that you refuse to give up. You refuse to give in, and you are going to get that destination no matter what. That is where it comes into play, and that is what moves you forward. And this is what I'm talking about. Only speak what you want to come into your life. Now, if you think about this for just a minute and what that means that you really, really, really have to work on your dialogue. You really have to learn how to either bite your tongue, not say something, redirect your thoughts and your mindset. How do you speak into your life? if every single thing that you said created something, what would you be saying to yourself, to others, to your environment? And since I started focusing on this about 3-4 weeks ago, I don't say as much. I'm more careful about what I'm saying and when I'm saying it than I used to be before. And for whatever reason, this is what clicked for me. You may need to find something else that clicks for you to really drive this home, whether it's how you talk to yourself or what you want to come into your life or being kinder than necessary. Whatever it is for you, you've got to figure out that for you. If you really, really, really want to go in a certain direction, you've got to only speak what's going to get you into that direction. This applies to everything. It applies to career, your income, your work. It applies to your family, your relationships, and it really requires a level of self-control. No, for me, this was just the thing. This was the thing that did it with everything else that I've studied over the last 10, 15 years. This was the thing that really drove home for me. And it's so much conscious work and effort at first. But as you start to build this skill, it becomes more natural. And for me, it just is an automatic trigger. Now, let me add a side note here. I've dealt with a lot of trauma over the last 15 to 20 years. More trauma than anybody should deal with. And I'm not the only one that's dealt with trauma. I'm not the only one that has PTSD, anxiety, depression. There's so many of you out there that deal with these things in your lives. And my heart goes out to you because they're really, really difficult mindsets to overcome and to work yourself through. I have not had great success with counselors, and because I'm so dogged and determined, I also refuse to give up on something. I will bang my head against a stone wall until I figure it out. And I will just keep banging my head against that wall until I figure out how to get through it, break it down, go over the top, crawl underneath or crawl around it or climb around it or walk around it or whatever it is. I will just keep banging my head against that wall. And for me, that was really something that has helped me grow and refuse to give up. So for me, it's been, what do I need to do? What else works? How else can I figure this out? And I have refused to give up on certain things. And I'm a very determined woman. And I think that that's the only way that I start to come to these conclusions is I want to create beautiful things in my life. And I know that things are so possible. I work for Bradley. He's a major influencer. You can find him bradley.com. And in part of his training, he recommended this book, and I'm going to forget the name of the book. Shoot, I'll have to look it up and put the name of the book in the comments. Hopefully I'll think about it before the end of the live. But this book talks about how we think so. The power of thinking big, I think is what it's called. I'll put the name of the book and a link to the YouTube audio book on YouTube in the comments. But I think it's the power of thinking big. That doesn't seem right for some reason. But it talks about how we think so small. And when we think small, we limit ourselves. We think, oh, I can only get a minimum wage job. I can't do anything else, so I'm going to have to get 2 or 3 minimum wage jobs to be able to take care of myself and save and to be able to go on vacations. But instead, we could be thinking, no, I specialize in this thing. I'm going after this thing. This is what's important to me. How do I get there? I know it's going to be hard. I know I'm going to have to overcome some things, but I can create a path to get from here to there. And we just sometimes limit ourselves. And that's what this whole concept of only speak what you want in your life kind of couples with, or it's kind of saying that same thing, that, you know, you have to think bigger. Don't worry about the obstacles that you're facing and that are in front of you, because if you keep driving forward, those obstacles are going to go away. Those obstacles are going to diminish. You're going to figure out how to climb over the wall. You're going to find an opening in the wall. You're going to tear it down. You're going to have to figure out how to dig underneath it and get through it. Don't let the wall be your obstacle. Don't let yourself be your obstacle. And that's really what I want to drive home, is don't let yourself be your obstacle. Because any other obstacle you can overcome if you can overcome yourself. Overcoming yourself is going to move mountains for you. If you are willing and able to see past your own internal limitations, you will get anywhere you want in this life. And, you know, as I think about my past and my history and where I am today, I'm exactly where I put myself. I'm exactly where I said I was going to be. And it's kind of funny because, as a little kid, I used to always, you know, as a preteen and as a teen, I used to always be like, oh, I'm going to get married. I'm going to live in a one-bedroom shack, a one-room shack, and I'm just going to be so happy. And, you know, I'm just going to have all of this property. And it's kind of funny because I was thinking about somebody I call a friend the other day and this morning, and just thinking that this person kind of sort of has a one-room shack that they live out of, and not really a shack, but just like a one-room house on a piece of property with a whole bunch of acres. And I was just thinking how close and tangible that is for me, and that I had no idea what I was putting out there as this young woman, but I'm like so close in proximity, even though it's not my situation. I'm so close in proximity to what I put out as this young woman. And about 10 years ago, I was looking for property to be able to have a little shack built on it, you know, on a bunch of property. And it doesn't matter what age we are. You can always build something new. Part of the other research and studying I've done over the last few years is that, you know, when you get into your 40s, your life really, for a lot of people, is just beginning. And that's one of the things that this book drives home, is that that a lot of people think that their life is over at somewhere between, you know, 40 and 60, but they really have another 10, 20, sometimes 30 years left. They have all of this wealth and knowledge that they've acquired earlier in their life. And now here they are, they get to create something out of it, and they get to move forward. And, you know, a lot of times 40s, early 50s, your children have moved out if you've had children, or you've spent all of this time living life and you're having children and you're a better parent, you know, or maybe you've spent your younger years of energy focusing on your children and being a part of all their activities, and now you're going to go do something with your life. It doesn't matter how old you are. I started creating my life right now, that I'm living today, right now, when I was a preteen and a teenager. If you've got children, teach them this concept. Only put out there what you want to have in your life. you've got to set everything else aside. And like, even as I'm talking to you right now, like I'm getting chills because it's so true that what you put out there is what you're going to get back. Mind your words and what you say to yourself, what you say to others, what you say in certain situations and scenarios. Study the people that are successful and what they're saying to themselves and how they're talking. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is a powerful book that also helps drive this home. And I really just hope that you can take this and run with it. Okay, so we are going to wrap up really quick because we are already 20 minutes in. So we are going to do just a quick intention setting. I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to take 3 deep breaths. We're not going to walk through the whole breathing exercise, but we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Just normal breaths that you would take. That's 2. 1 more. Okay, now I want you to think in your mind, and I want you to just set an intention for your day. You can do this for your day, your week, your month, 6 months, a year, goal setting, whatever. But I just want you to think about the best possible scenario, best possible way your day can go today. And I just want you to think about that for just a minute. You know, what appointments do you have? What tasks do you need to get done? Do you have something you've been trying to accomplish? I want you to put it out there as if it was the most perfect, ideal way that it could go for you. Maybe you're looking for your dream job. Put that out there. What does it look like? What is your dream job? You know, how do you feel in your dream job? Maybe you're trying to build a relationship with somebody. What does that relationship look like in its most ideal form? Maybe you're not really sure, you know, the direction that your life is going. I want you to think about what it would feel like if you were in your ideal life. Just start with that. Start with the feeling of what your life feels like. And then branch out a little bit. Who is around you? What are your surroundings? For me, it's that one-room shack. That one-room shack on a piece of property where I have all of my needs met. I'm embracing time with nature. Like, you can just see how it makes me feel happy. So I want you to just set that intention for today. And then I want you to walk through breathing exercises. So your homework assignment today is I want you to just take 5 to 10 minutes and just write out what you want your life to look like. And write it in a present tense. So here's an example. This morning, I woke up. I stretched and felt the sun on my face coming through the window. As I get up and look out the window, I can see the deer feeding on the grass, the rays of sun shining through the trees as the sun peeks up over the mountains. Outside, I can see how beautiful a morning it's going to be. The leaves on the trees are starting to change from green to yellow and outlined in fire red. I can see a squirrel jumping from limb to limb, racing up and down the bark of the tree. As I get up and out of my bed, I pull on a warm sweater and some comfortable pants and go for a walk outside. I can feel the crisp air on my face and my nose begins to chill. But as I walk through the acres of property on my land, I embrace nature and listen to the birds chirping outside. So something like that, where you're present tense, you're walking through your dream life and where you are right now. Not necessarily where you are right now, but as if you are right now in that place that you want to be. Thank you so much for joining me today. I don't have the title of next week's live set up yet, but I'm planning on taking care of that before the end of the day tomorrow. I'll get the next live invitation posted. Thank you so much for joining me. Only speak what you want in your life. Your words create things. Your words cast spells and create what you want, whether you get it today, tomorrow, or in a week. Be very mindful of your words and take care of them. Nurture yourself. Give yourself some love and grace, and we'll see you next time.